After months of heightened tensions and concerns that Russia could be planning to invade Ukraine, US President Joe Biden is now set to talk to his Russian counterpart in what is shaping up to now be a high-stakes video call between the two leaders and could potentially decide the course of Ukraine's near future. While the White House aides remain skeptical that diplomacy can stop President Putin from destabilizing Ukraine, Biden is expected to encourage diplomatic de-escalation over the conflict in Ukraine. Meanwhile, US officials say that the US, along with its NATO allies, are now mulling over a range of measures to deter a Russian invasion. Western allies may move to cut Russia off from the international financial system altogether and impose direct sanctions on Putin's closest associates. The White House has already warned that the US was ready to boost its military presence in Eastern Europe if Moscow escalates its military activity in the region. Meanwhile, the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, Britain and the United States have now expressed determination that Ukraine's sovereignty should be respected and is committed to act to maintain peace in Europe as of now. Meanwhile, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken also spoke to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky ahead of the call.
Been clear, and we've heard from our allies, our NATO allies including, that we believe there is an opportunity, a window before us to resolve this diplomatically, chiefly through full implementation of the Minsk agreements. Specifically, should Russia follow this path of confrontation and military action, we have made clear to Moscow that we will respond resolutely. Including with a range of what we have called high-impact economic measures that we've refrained from using in the past. And it's that last clause.
A declassified assessment disclosed by the Biden administration last week suggested that Russia may have as many as 175,000 troops on the border by January, and U.S. intelligence officials fear that Putin could try a three-sided invasion of the country. Experts weighing in on the possible outcomes of the talks say that they do not expect any big breakthroughs.
We don't know that Putin has made up his mind to use force, but what we do know is that he's putting the Russian military, the Russian security services in a place where they could act in a pretty sweeping way. You know, Ukraine is an issue that he's made no secret in public over the course of recent years of the significance that he and much of the Russian elite attach to their view that they ought to have significant influence over Ukraine's choices. Our view as a policy matter is obviously to, continue unwavering support for Ukraine's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence. But I would never underestimate President Putin's risk appetite on Ukraine.
For more inputs on this high-stakes virtual summit, we earlier spoke to Stuart Smith from Moscow. Listen into what he had to say about Moscow's expectations from this high-stakes summit.
Well, we know that these issues were discussed at the meeting, but the detail as to exactly what was decided at the meeting, we don't have. We know that there is this broader problem for Russia and India as Russia looks to China to balance itself against the West and India looks more towards the United States. Now that on one hand means that Russia and India do not see eye to eye. On the other hand, we know that Russia is keen for collaboration with India and with China. And we've seen areas after this meeting of cooperation in another place where we see India and China frequently having a presence. In the far east of Russia, Russia is trying to propagate both trade with India and China there. So Russia seems to be able to play both countries and try and get gains from both countries at the same time. But one thing we do know that Russia is opposed to is the Indo-Pacific linking of, say, states like Australia, the United Kingdom and the USA with its new naval agreement on submarines. We know that Russia is opposed to that and that presence in the South China Sea and the Indo-Pacific Ocean. It's worried about that in particular, but it does mean that Russia still has a good enough relationship with India despite its concerns to be, for example, selling S-400 missiles. So defense cooperation, especially with Russia involved, doesn't happen between states who do not trust each other and have very good relations. So it does show that although Russia does have some issues with India's pivot towards the United States, they're not yet strong enough to jeopardize any sort of defense collaboration.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.